Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us across the fence. I'm Fran Stoddard. For this month's Bird Notes program, we're going to talk about something we try and touch on every year: winter bird feeding. Joining us from the Audubon Center in Huntington is bird expert and conservation biologist Mark LaBarr. Thank you so much for being with us, Mark.
As always, great to be here.
So it's time to talk about winter bird feeding, and you've put together a video from the Audubon bird feeding station. So
yeah, in past years, we've talked about bird feeding right there in the studio. This year's it's a different time, so we got a chance. My coworker Emily Caplita, who helped me shoot this video up on the porch at the Green Mountain Audubon Center, and our bird feeding station there. So it was quite fun.
Awesome. Well, let's take a look.
Hi, Fran. Mark LaBarr here on the porch of the Green Mountain Audubon Center, where we have our bird feeding station. Now, normally I do this bird feeding show inside, but because of the pandemic, we have the opportunity to actually visit the station here at the center. And of course, November has arrived, and this is a great time to start feeding birds. This wet weather, as you can see, that's coming down on me now, can actually chill the birds down. It's a difficult time for them, so providing food for them at this point in time, following the guidelines set out by the Vermont Fish and Wildlife Department as far as bird feeding starting November 1, get that seed out there and make those birds happy. Now, what I thought I would do is just simply go over some of the pretty standard types of feeders that we use here at the Audubon. The first one is a tube feeder. This is a real nice one because it's got a clear plastic thing so we can see how much food is in there and fill it. It's got these supposedly squirrel-proof little things here that when the squirrels get on, they're supposed to fall off, but they manage to get around that pretty well. We're feeding basically black oil sunflower seed in all of our feeders here, although there are a number of different options out there as well. But if you're looking to get a feeder that is pretty simple one to start, a tube feeder is one of your best bets. Now, as we walk down the porch, we move on to another type of feeder. This is called a hopper feeder, and this feeder you fill from the top. Again, you can see through the plastic things here how much food there is, and in this case these are another squirrel baffle design where you can see the feeding ports will be closed if too much weight is put on this feeder. The nice thing about this feeder is it does hold a lot of seed, and because of that you don't have to fill it up as much as you do some of the other ones. So again, a pretty standard feeder, great one to start with if you're just starting your bird feeding station, a great addition if you already have a bunch of feeders up. And as we move down the porch, I've got a couple of different kinds of seeds. As I said, we tend to go with black oil sunflower seed. It has a high fat content, the birds really love it, but there are some other types out there. Right here I've got mealworms. Now this is a favorite if you do have bluebirds maybe sticking around, although oftentimes the chickadees will get right in there and they'll eat all of these first. A little expensive, but if you add it to your mix, it might be, attract something that you don't normally get. And also, we go and use sometimes a mixture. This is black oil sunflower seed, but it's got a lot of nuts in it. So this is a great feed for things like woodpeckers, nuthatches. The chickadees like this as well. But again, those nuts, the peanuts and other nuts have a real high fat content to get those birds through the inclement winter weather. So any feeder station, especially if you want to bring in the woodpeckers, you're going to want to have a suet feeder. This is a suet feeder that has this kind of unique tail to it, and that actually allows the woodpeckers to land here and prop themselves up as they go after the suet. The suet comes in blocks. You can buy it pretty easily at most hardware stores, even some of the supermarkets, and it's a great addition for those species that, like our woodpeckers and nuthatches, that like to feed on the suet and other fatty type stuff. So a great one if you want to bring in a variety of birds to your feeder. Now the last one that we'll look at is a feeder that we use primarily for things like American goldfinches. This is the Thistle Feeder, and it has a very different opening, just a narrow little slit, which allows this very small seed to come out and can be pecked out by things like goldfinch. Now, goldfinch are great. People have been seeing a lot of common redpolls around, which is another bird that will use this kind of feeder. So if you want to bring some of those eruptive species that just kind of show up every once in a while, and get them attracted to your feeder, having a thistle feeder is a great thing to add to your station. This year's been so far so good for evening grosbeaks too. So again, that nut seed mixture, even the sunflower seeds, can be a real draw for species like that. And they're a spectacular bird to have at your feeders. And the last feeder I'll look at is just another one of a different style of squirrel-proof feeder. And this is one kind of works the same way. The heavier the animal, for instance, a red squirrel or a gray squirrel, drops this cage down and prohibits them from getting at the seed. But at the same time, things like chickadees and other birds, well, just like that little guy, can come in and they can access the seed. Now, we put our feeders up not too long ago, and the birds are really loving it, especially on a cold, wet, dreary day like this. You can see they're being rather bold and coming right up. We have chickadees, we have red-breasted nuthatches, white-breasted nuthatches. I saw siskins, not siskins, but redpolls at my house the other day in 70-degree weather. That was kind of strange. But by having this whole kind of setup of different kinds of feeders and different kind of food source, you're going to bring in the most birds that you can to see and carry you through those long winter months.
That's really wonderful. It's so great to get out to the center remotely and see kind of how you set that up. And they're pretty far apart.
They are, and that was just the way, the posts were set up on the porch, and it gives birds different angles to come at. And of course, it allows people in the office when they're up there to be able to see them out different windows. So it's human friendly too.
Awesome. So let's talk about some of the birds that these feeders attract. First, the usual suspects.
Yeah, so as folks saw in the video there, we had, probably our most popular bird showing up is the black cap chickadee. Mm-hmm. This is a species that, as soon as we put those feeders up, these birds were coming in. And you can stand on the porch or even on my feeder at my house, and they're very bold, and they'll come in and feed. They take seeds individually and will eat them, at a separate place. But they're a great bird to watch, and really spectacular how this small bird makes it through these long winter months.
Yeah, we have lots at our house too.
Yeah, they're
my favorite here.
Yep. So tit mice. This is or tit mouse. This is a relative of the chickadee, and this is a bird that I always like it because its eye looks really big, and it's got that lovely little crest on it. It too is a feisty little bird like the chickadee. So often coming in, you'll see them kind of chase some of the other birds away to get at the seed, but a great one to have at your feeder. And then, of course, the American goldfinch. Now, during the summer months, we often see them in the males, at least, in their bright yellow and black plumage. And You know, in the winter months, they're a little bit drabber, but they'll come in and they do it a little bit differently. They'll come in numbers, and, you know, on those thistle feeders, you may have, you know, 5, 6, 7 goldfinch feeding all at once. And they tend to be a little messy too. So they end up putting some stuff on the porch, which of course the squirrels manage to find.
Exactly, those squirrels. So what birds are attracted to the suet feeder that you had there?
So I mentioned a couple of them in the video. Things like the white-breasted nuthatch. This is one of the upside down birds. We call it that because it often can be seen just like this, kind of going downward on a tree trunk as it feeds. And they really like the suet feeder. They have long toenails and toes so they can grasp onto bark. And this allows them to also grasp onto the feeder. Another feeder bird that comes to the suet and seed is the relative, the red-breasted nuthatch. This bird is one that folks will find if they have a stronger evergreen present around their house. These birds like a more coniferous setting. So you may not see them if you have them, you know, a house that's in a more deciduous area in town or something like that. But a great little bird to come in. And of course, we have our woodpeckers. And here are two, the downy woodpecker on the left, much smaller bill, and the hairy woodpecker on the right.
And then we just have a minute to go, Mark, so I just want to quickly see a picture of the grosbeak and the redpoll so people know what to look for the more unusual birds.
Right, and again, I mentioned this guy, you know, the evening grosbeaks are great. People are reporting them all over the place, really striking. Sometimes a platform feeder might work best for these because they're a little bit bigger. And then the common redpoll, another species which is eruptive, and people have been seeing in numbers here in Vermont already this year. So lots of things.
Awesome. Okay, Mark, thank you so much. We're already out of time. If you have a bird-related question, you can pass it along to Mark at the address on your screen, or you can drop Mark an email. His address is mlabarr@audubon.org. Send Mark your questions and pictures, and he'll try to find answers to you on an upcoming edition of Bird Notes. Thank you so much, Mark. It's always great to have you here.
Always great to be here.
And once again, thank you for joining us across the fence. I'm Fran Stoddard. Stay well.